How much does it cost to buy, modify, and maintain a C5 Corvette? Let's talk about it.
What's going on?
All right, we're gonna break down the entire 1 year cost of the car into 3 separate categories. First is just gonna be the initial upfront cost of how much is it to just buy it, register it, insurance, all those little things. Next is gonna be maintenance. It is 25 years old now, so you might expect some level of maintenance for these things. And things are gonna break, that's normal. So we're gonna go through those, and then next, if you're buying a Corvette, you're probably gonna wanna modify it. So we're gonna go through a few of the mods I've done on this one and how much they kinda go for. So let's go ahead and start with the initial upfront costs. All right, let's just take it off the dome now. These cars are going for pretty cheap now. So you can pick one of these up for, I bought mine for $15,400. It's a manual 6-speed, bought it with 85,000 miles, and overall, great condition. So right off the bat, $15,000 cash, okay? That's what you can expect for a manual. Next, registering this thing in New York State brings us down to $650 for registration and tax. And then last is gonna be insurance. Insurance was pretty cheap for me because I didn't go full coverage. I'm not 25 anymore, I'm 27. In New York State, honestly, it's probably pretty expensive. New York City metro area. I'm paying $125 a month, which comes down to around $1,500 for the entire year. So $17,500 for the initial cost. So overall, really not bad. You could probably get away with a little bit more, a little less, depending on what condition your car is, and also, you know, what insurance you go for, etc., etc. Being a 25-year-old car, we've got a few maintenance things to check off the box. First of all, you're probably gonna wanna do an oil change, fluid flush, so right around $200 for that. We did get some new rear tires. Rear tires came out to around $500. I did go for some thicker boys in the back, so we have 295s in the rear now. Rear brake light, 10 bucks, easy, not bad. Another really big one that you will most likely have to fix on these, or even if you get a C6 or C5, anything that's LS, you're gonna have to fix this. It's the harmonic balancer. They're not too expensive. $300 is how much I paid, including the tools and everything. But I will say, if you don't do it yourself, you will have to pay a pretty penny for labor. Expect probably an extra 1,000 on top of that for labor. For me though, harmonic balancer plus the tools I needed was right around $300, okay? Next, we have coil wires and spark plugs. You might not have to do these, but this is another one to do, not too expensive. Coil wires was $120 and the spark plugs was 80 bucks. Another problem these ones typically run into is the clutch slave cylinder. 60 bucks is what I paid. It's a pretty easy job. You could probably do it yourself even if you have like very little experience on working on cars. If you bring it to a shop, expect probably an extra 200 bucks. But another upgrade people usually do for those is they get the tick slave cylinder, which is $200. It's up to you if you want that. But yeah, these cars often run into that problem. The clutch fluid, the brake fluid ends up getting clogged up and it ends up ruining one of the valves in the cylinder. And then you pretty much end up with a sticky clutch. So your clutch goes down and then it's really annoying. You have to like kind of pop it back up with your foot to get it out of there, or it gets stuck down there. Relatively easy fix though. That's just having an old car. Another issue these cars typically run into is the rocking seat issue. So I'll show a quick clip of it, but pretty much my passenger and front seats both had this where the seats would constantly rock back and forth like a 1/4 inch, and it's just really annoying. Super easy fix. You can pick up washers for like a few bucks. I ended up 3D printing the washers, but I'd say expect 10 bucks to fix that and 3 hours of your time. Super simple fix. Another huge thing that these have is oil pressure sensor. My oil pressure sensor blew up 6 months ago. It's cheap to replace. It's 50 bucks for the sensor, but the labor is where it gets really fucking annoying. I haven't done mine yet, but I'll go into that one in another video, but that is a pain in the ass. You can expect probably a pretty big labor charge for that, even though it's just a $50 part. But Yep. So that kind of wraps us up on maintenance. Honestly, these aren't too bad to maintain at all. For being 25 years old, it's actually pretty surprising. I have a 2009 GTI, and that one requires a ton more maintenance than this thing does. I love it. You barely have to maintain these. I mean, the issues I've had are just issues that honestly any 90,000 mile car would have, and so far the parts have been relatively cheap. If you like fixing your cars yourself, everything has been relatively simple to fix myself. Nothing's been too crazy. Harmonic balancer, I read on the Corvette forums as people say it's a hard job. Not too bad. Give yourself a weekend, buy the tools that you need. I made another video on that if you want to check it out, but so far, nothing really stands out as being difficult to fix or hard to maintain on these. All right, next, let's just go right into modifications. I don't have too many mods done because, you know, eating that cost up front of 17,000 cash is kind of a lot. So I have LED blinkers. So we got these down here. Honestly, to me, it makes the car look a lot more modern. I really like how it looks. The old blinker assemblies are just a bit old to me, a bit dated, and this kind of really modernizes the whole look of the car. $250 for those. Depends if that's worth it to you or not. It was to me, $250 for the LED blinkers. Next, the first big mod I made on this car, which I just finished a video on, is long tube headers. I paid $550. By far, best bang for your buck is speed engineering. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The other headers are going for $1,500, $2,000. Listen, you do whatever you want, but to me, why am I gonna pay $2,000 for a piece of tubing compared to the $550? I mean, you're not gonna squeeze that much power out of the headers anyways. You're gonna get maybe 10, 15 horsepower max. I mean, once you pair it with a cam or something else, yeah, you could probably squeeze a bit more out of them, but excuse me. Either way, for me, $550 is such a good deal. We got headers and X-pipe. So pretty much everything from here to here on the exhaust was $550. It was already paired to a pair of Borla Stingers. They're Borla Stinger catbacks. So sounds really good. And that's kind of it for mods, unless you want to count the rear tires. So yeah, we bumped up to 295 35 17s on the rear. I got a good deal on them. They're Yoko sport tires. I don't even know what they are, but they were on a good sale, so I picked them up for, I think, $170, $190 a piece for $295, so that's a pretty good deal. And then lastly, the last category I'm going to throw in here, which I think if you're going to be driving this car, you should throw it in here, and it's how much you're going to pay for speeding tickets. So I got one fat speeding ticket so far, which put me at $400 on that front. This car is very easy to speed in. It's kind of unfortunate, but also fortunate, I guess, whatever way you want to look at it. But yeah, you're probably going to get a speeding ticket with this thing. So if I were you, probably get a radar detector or use Waze or something, because it is easy to go fast in this car. So keep that in mind if you're going to be buying one of these. All right, now let's go through the entire total for everything. So grand total brings us down to $17,000 and $17,500 for the initial cost, upfront cost. We got $1,200 for maintenance and $800 for mods, $400 for speeding ticket. So that brings us to a total of $20,000 for 1 year on this car. Personally, I think that's really worth it. You can pick some of these cars up for probably as low as $10,000 for an automatic that's kind of shittier condition. You'd be surprised. I don't think the maintenance is super crazy on these cars, coming from at least the European scene, which is a completely different ballpark. Mods, all the mods so far I've seen are not crazy expensive. I mean, next year or this year coming up, the next mod route I'm going to go for is probably going to be a big cam, which is going to run me probably close to $1,000, including everything. And then if I want to go for a nitrous kit, that'll probably be another $1,000. So at this point, all those smaller mods are kind of minimal, like 200, 300 bucks. Maintenance, I don't expect to do much maintenance this coming year. So A lot of the big things that were wrong with this car I already fixed. I don't really know, so we'll see in the next year what happens. So that brings us up to a grand total of $20,000. So $20,000, the car's 25 years old, V8, LS1, 5.7 liters, 380 horsepower now, maybe with the exhaust, rear wheel drive. So, I mean, you can't really go wrong. You can't really go wrong. Let me know if you have any questions. I hope you enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more content on this thing. It came with a inline, fuck me in the ass, I cannot talk right now. Another big problem these ones run into is the clutch slave, slave cylinder. All right.